There's a data set that chases away heckling fanboys. This one user started to get rude, so I basically disabled comments on this particular tweet of mine. I'm not interested in pedantic nonsense. The moment they start doing stupid things like this is childish. I mean, this meme is quite childish. Not because they are right, but because they want to claim they're right, even in the face of them seeing that they're wrong. Now, I have to first of all go ahead and encourage a lot of these people. First of all, stop all this. Don't throw memes as, except maybe you're joking in some cases, or maybe you want to be sarcastic, but throwing excessive memes everywhere when there's data that literally bodies your, claim is weird. What you want to do is you want to quickly modify your claim when you see that there's a problem in it. That way you can make a good argument. It's not as if we're making a 100% bad argument. You were making a decent argument, but the foundation was faulty. Let me give you guys some context here. This person posted, PlayStation is absolutely pulling their games off of PC after today's announcement. This is in reference to Valve. And I quoted and said, can they afford it? I didn't think this was going to get 14,000 views, but apparently. This user said, sure, if they can actually treat exclusives as exclusives, their 84 million base will buy the PS version. I think that's what they wanted to say. And then they said, and the base will expand. So there are people who still think that if they will just keep the exclusives exclusive, it's going to somehow expand the base because people will then buy the game. So here's what I ask, just to be clear, because we don't know if they've sold 84 million units to people. But let's just give it to them. In fact, let's give them 119 million MAUs, right? So let's just say 119 MAUs. I said, so the 84 million aren't buying because it's not exclusive? Ask questions. Be clear. And then this person said, or they replied and said this. They said a couple of issues. PlayStation gamers are less engaged. That's a fact. I didn't say this. And if they can't wait 6 months to a year to get it cheap, and if they can wait 6 months to a year to get it cheap on Steam, they will. Which means that it's not necessarily about engagement, it's customer behavior. Because the customer buying the game on sale actually means that they want the game, but they're just not willing to pay for the game at launch. Or they'd prefer to be able to get the game on a different platform that is open than PlayStation. That's what it's showing because the game is available on PlayStation. So basically, this big lip radio person is arguing against PlayStation's cause. Then they said, remove that option. So basically, don't even put it on console, on PC, and the games will sell well on PC. So I said, Astrobot, what went wrong there? That's all I asked. Because Astrobot is not yet on PC. There's no announcement. There's no conversation about it. GT7 is not yet on PC. Hadn't sold as much as freaking Forza Horizon 5, right? Because Forza Horizon 5 has sold more than GT7. Hold on, let me go ahead and show you guys so that you guys don't go around saying Forza sold more than GT, the crew combined. There it is. Playground Games executive. Hold on, let me find it for you guys here. Here it is. Playground Games co-founder claims Forza Horizon made more revenue than Gran Turismo before it even launched on PS5. Okay, so why is Gran Turismo, which has not been put on any other platform, the option is not there, we don't know if it's there, why has it not sold more than multi-plat Forza Horizon 5? So I'm asking a logical question, which you said, remove that option and the games will sell well on PS. Well, the option is actually Astrobot meets that criteria. What's up with it? And then they replied, it sold 2.5 million copies. Indiana Jones had 4 million players. Most didn't buy it. Then he said this, selling 2.5 million on what's actually an average game is pretty good. I said, okay, we'll take your 2.5 million copies and use it for Xbox sales. That's pretty good. Thanks. So now he set a new standard. Standard number 2 is 2.5 million is good. Standard number 1, if you remove the option, the game will sell well, which is crazy. as Spider-Man sold very well when it went on PC. But I didn't want to do too much. However, I had this user who enjoys the mud. They said, why do you think, and this is where they failed, why do you think Xbox games don't sell while being available on console, PC, TV, and Fire Sticks? Now, they based that assumption, they took that assumption as the basis and then said, why such drastically low attach rates? Truly curious. And that's when they basically had me go ahead and fire up the data set. This is literally garlic to the vampiric crap that these people spew. All you have to do is fire up the Steam best sales of 2019, 2020, 2021, 22, 23, 24. In fact, 21 is quite insane. As when you get to the gold category, you see 3 Xbox games sitting in the same category as Red Dead Redemption 2. But here's the crazy thing. And this is why I usually don't talk about attach rates. I see some people talk about it and I'm like, it's a trap. So first of all, I told him, I said, well, Xbox games do sell well. I'm sure that shocked them. I said, what if I show you Xbox games actually selling on PC with official rankings? Would you throw this tweet away? Actually, I said, stay right there. Let me grab some data for you. And I furnished him with a lot of data. You see that? I started to pour, you know me, I do a data dump. Bam, bam. Then he says, sure, we're talking about attach rates. Their Xbox consoles, PC, Fire Stick, fridges, etc. How much did Keeper sell? Because that's the topic. I said, hold up, we can compare Keeper to Lost Soul aside. Relax, let's walk you through 2024 and review your original claim. And he didn't even let me get through 2024 because I started to pretty much dump the data. And he said that that's true. They don't. When they're on consoles, PC, tablet, outside of Call of Duty, which isn't an Xbox game. Look at these people. What game has more than 25% attach rate? How about even 5%? Because that's the original topic, attach rates. That wasn't the original topic. The original topic was, can they afford to not put their games or to launch their games on PC? And the original person that replied said that if they would actually just not put the game on PC, the games will sell well. And I said, well, how about the games that are not on PC? Why are they not selling well? And he said it sold well at 2 million units. I didn't say anything about attach rates. You're the one who came out starting to say things about attach rates. And when I started to throw basically all of the data at you, you're claiming that I said attach rates, and I never said that. Oh, so this whole post is not being attach rates? Oh, you just now noticed after all these messages? I said, I hear your attach rates concern, but it's moot because there are third-party games that these Xbox and PlayStation games are classed within in rankings and sales. It's a weird metric. It really is, because let me show you something. Imagine if there's a PlayStation game somewhere right here, like Ghost of Tsushima. Okay? Ghost of Tsushima, in its, this is what year is this? This is 2024. So it's about like its first or second year on Steam. But it's still ranking in the silver category, but then there are also other games ranking in the silver category as well. If I use the attach rates, it'll be a weird metric because I'd have to then dismiss these other games and say they have low attach rates as well. Tekken 8 has a low attachment rate, and so does Grand Blue Fantasy. I'd have to literally dismiss the entire list. That's why attach rates is a really weird metric that makes me go like, why are we using that metric when it comes to sales? We should be using sales in terms of what other games are categorized at, maybe in similar genres and so on and so forth. But here's the problem where attach rates actually body PlayStation users. They use the PlayStation exclusives as this talking point. That's what makes the console sell. But then we ask them and say, but why is it looking like the console sales and the game sales are not correlating as Nintendo finds itself? Nintendo games will actually do very well. Their biggest games will do significantly well. But the PlayStation biggest games don't do that well compared to Nintendo's games. So then there's the problem of the whole exclusive talk. This is what, PlayStation fanboys, you're putting yourself into a bind by using this talking point that exclusives sell consoles. They don't. The games are what people are going to play, and they'll play the games wherever they choose to play the games. This is exactly why the entire conversation is upside down the moment you start talking attach rates and all of this stuff. I'm just asking you, and I was asking that guy, if exclusives were what would make people buy these games, when those games were exclusive, why didn't people buy them? Gran Turismo 7, Astrobot, Demon Souls. Where are the sales to show? If the options aren't there, why are people not running to them in droves? Because if we use the attach rates, we'd also have to go ahead and dismiss the success of a game like Helldivers 2, which ranked as one of the highest selling games, highest grossing games of 2024 on Steam. So y'all have got to help me out with the multiple double standard jumping goalposts that you want to do. So you were basically console warring. I was trying to show you that your basis is faulty and wrong. And I showed them. I told them, you're lying. You said Xbox games don't sell. He said, because they don't. And I showed you where you said that they don't sell, and then I showed you where they do sell. And you're over there throwing memes, acting like you really know what's going on. Tell me that I'm wrong. You're wrong. The data shows. I said, look what you said here. You want to move the goalpost. So I basically closed down the whole thing. Well, the original poster then came back and said, I'm a loser for disabling comments. I was like, I'm just trying to save you all the embarrassment. Some days I really am trying to help these guys. I tell them sometimes to walk away. He said, loser, turned off comments. I said, what am I losing at? You were cheering on a liar. I'm saving you the embarrassment. You say he didn't lie. Of the hundreds of millions of computers out there, a very small percentage of them have Xbox games on them. That's a poor attach rate. So here's what I said, and I'll end the video here. I said, you guys are gluttons for punishment. I said attach rate is a weird metric because you have to apply the standard to other third-party games in the same category. For instance, this is 2021's top grossing games on Steam. Can you imagine saying, well, the attach rates based on the millions of PCs out there is quite low? Then you'd have to dismiss FIFA 22 and Final Fantasy 14 and Elder Scrolls Remastered and Red Dead Redemption 2 and It Takes Two and Warframe because they're not selling at the highest rate of all the PCs out there. That's why attach rates is quite weird in a third-party publisher category because it's everybody's playground. In the case of your first-party PlayStation console playground, we're asking you how that actually creates a significance. And you claim that they do help sell the consoles, but we don't see that people are rushing in droves to buy the games. So your claim is faulty there inside of your ecosystem and is faulty outside your ecosystem. And I just told him, I said, dude, walk away. And he didn't respond. So I think he's probably decided that, maybe I misread the entire conversation. Relax. Some of you are so jumpy. Yeah, I get it, but you're all in no man's land now. Welcome. You really now have to understand the ecosystems that you're actually talking about. This will help you. You will grow. Yes. Thank you for watching the video. Peace out.